Well, we finally make it through customs, finally make it through everything. You know, we've got our bags, we're ready to head out, and you know, very first thing, basically, I walk out of the airport and I hear Brandon, and I look up and there's Brother Neff, and it's just a big relief. I mean, it's like the first sight of, you know, there's an American, there's somebody I know, there's somebody that knows me. We had just kind of briefly got to meet the kids. You know, when we pulled onto the property, you know, it's like the big party. You know, here come all the kids. They're so excited to see us, and some of you know some about the kids. Kevin is one of them that sticks out in probably everybody's mind. Kevin, when they got him, he couldn't walk. They basically gave no hope that he would ever be able to walk. He's came to the United States twice, to Tampa, to special doctors. They've done multiple surgeries. They've put braces on his legs, and he was walking. He walks very awkwardly, but he walked out to meet us, and just right away your heart breaks, and you just see these kids that, I mean, they're just so excited to see us. I mean, you can see it on their faces that, you know, they're so glad that we're there, and they can't wait to spend time with us.
My name is Fabian, and I'm 13 years old, and I came to the home when I was 2 years old, and then my mom taught me English and Spanish, and now I know both languages almost really well. English, I'm gonna be translating for Brother Neff when I get older, and I want to be a preacher, an evangelist.
Pastor Ricky Brown, he pastors the Putnamville Baptist Church. He came along with us, he and his father, and they were a big help. And they came on the trip with us. So me and him both being pastors, Brother Neff set up times where midweek service we both got to preach, and then Sunday morning service we both got to preach. We preached at different churches, and it's so exciting to get to preach at another church and to get to preach with a translator. It's different, but again, just like the country, the people were so welcoming and so hospitable and so friendly. And I remember one older lady came up to me in very broken English, but she said, "Pastor," she said, "you are so young." She said, "but you touch my heart today." And you know, that's why we preach. That's why we minister. The ministry is people and touching other people's lives and making a difference. And you know, for me as a pastor to get to know and get to hear that I touch someone's life, it's just such a privilege. I say it so many times at Good Shepherd, but it is such a privilege to get to preach the gospel, whether it's here in our church or whether it's in another country in Costa Rica. For me, it was a great trip. I've said a few times that the group we took was just such a great group, and we didn't have any idea. You know, a lot of the people that went on the trip really are not that good of friends, don't really know each other that well, but yet for a week, you know, we literally lived together. We ate together, we slept in the same room, we drove in the same little van, and so you know, we got to know each other so much better in such a short amount of time. And the work was different. Some of the people in our church have been to Costa Rica and worked. You know, they don't have the tools that we have, they don't have the materials that we have, they certainly don't have the machines that we have, and so I know myself, I don't have much construction background, so I was given the very simple jobs. One of them was just bending rebar, but they don't have a metal bending machine, so we bent it all by hand. We put a pipe on it, they had some kind of a jig set up, and we'd crank and we'd get the first bend, and none of it was specific. It was just eyeballed. You know, there's 90 degrees. Pull it a little farther, there's 45 degrees. And we counted up. Each piece took five bends, and we made 100 pieces. So that's 500 bends just to get it made. Then we had to hand tie them, and again, no machine to do it for you. Just everything was done by hand, and so. The work was hard, the work was tedious, the work was repetitive, and so we tried to enjoy one another's company. We had a lot of craziness. Gary Paget, he's a big, strong, burly guy, kind of quiet, doesn't say a lot, And I look up one day, and here he is on this little bitty boy's bike, and he's pedaling around their gym, and he's getting one of the guys to race him on foot. And we all stopped working for a few minutes, and we're laughing and we're cheering him on. And it just had a good time. We just enjoyed one another's company. And it's, you know, while you're working, it's good to have fun. They have fruit trees on the property, and we were all excited about getting some of this fruit. And they had lemon trees, and one of the kids had got a lemon and peeled it open, and it was super sour. And then farther over, we found some oranges. Well, what we didn't know was the lemon and oranges had crossed, and so basically the oranges tasted like lemon, and so we bit into it expecting an orange, and it tasted lemon, so we thought that was funny, so we thought we would share that with everybody else, but telling them it was an orange, and so that was kind of fun to watch everybody's expression as they bit into this orange that tasted almost just like a lemon. And then we had Pastor Ricky Brown went on the trip with us. And Pastor Ricky's got it looks like a 16-foot board, and there's a giant lemon up in the top of the tree, and he's got his mind made up he's going to get that big one. And so he goes and gets that board, and he's whacking at it. And you know, there's probably 100 other lemons that he could have reached by hand, but he was trying to get that big giant one out of it. It's just silly things like that we had fun, and it broke up the work day. We're over on the side of a hill. Brother Allen decides to do a backflip off into our sand pile. We had to sift all this sand by hand, and so we've been sifting and sifting and sifting, and we've got this mountain of sand. And he says, "Hey," he goes, "Who thinks I could backflip off of this hill into this sand?" And so it's just, I mean, all kinds of stories like that we'll never forget. You know, it was a special week that we got to share together, and got to know one another better and grow closer to each other, but all the while growing closer to the Lord and being a help and encouragement to those there at the Lighthouse. I think one of the greatest highlights for me was, and not just for me, for the whole group, was just getting to spend time with the kids. And you know, they're excited for us to be there, and obviously it's one of the most fun things for us is to get to spend time with them and get to share time with them. Well, there's all kinds of stories I'd like to tell. I think going back to devotions, one of my favorite things about the kids was we would have these Bible drills. That's how we'd start each devotion, and they're 100 colones is like 20 cents. So we'd have these pockets full of change, and all the men would start saying, "Here you go, Brother Neff, here's 100 colones," or "Here's 500 colones." And in just a couple of minutes we'd have $2 or $3, and he'd do some Bible drills and give away those coins to the kids, and they're so excited. And Brother Neff announces the text, and within, you know, like 5 seconds they jumping up there already reading the scripture, and we're all like kind of amazed how fast they are. I remember one night at devotions they sang a song. They finished with this song called "Special Friends," and Sally, she's the one that runs the children's home there in Costa Rica. And Sally said, anytime a group comes, she said, "You become our special friends." And she said, even though these children are in difficult circumstances, she said, it's groups like you that's their hope. It's what they look forward to. It's what they enjoy. And she said, "You've become our special friends." And then they sang this song, and it was just a very moving song. And it's, for me, going back a second time, it was so good to get to see some of the kids again that I'd remembered, that I'd played with, and they remembered me and they wanted to play again. And it's just such a good time getting to share that time with the kids.
Sweet name is so good.
As a family to serve Him forever. me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We will serve Him, we will serve Him, we will serve Him, for He is worthy. Serve Him, we will serve Him, we will serve Him, for He is worthy. Choose you this day, tell me who will you serve?
Let nothing stand in your way.
Give the praise He deserves. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As for me and my